Okay. Yeah, I'll go through like the pipeline basically.
Okay.
So the very first thing I do is blocking out the model, which means like I take like primitive shapes and I make them fit the overall like silhouette of the character.
Okay.
And then after that, that's when I remesh it. So what remeshing is joining everything together into one object so I can sculpt on it. So I start sculpting and there's something called dynamesh, which means well, I don't know what it means, but it just makes it easier to add detail. And then the higher you put, the more the more sensitive like or the more dense the model is.
Okay.
So you just start you just start sculpting, trying to make it look as good as you can with as low as dynamesh as you can. Like it has to be like you don't want to rush it to make it high poly,
Mm-hmm.
which means like very dense,
Mm-hmm.
because then it might mess up the overall shape. So you start sculpting. Once you're done, you have to um you have to do retopology, which means taking all that high poly info and then making it into low poly. So you go over the model with like way less vertices, way less faces, and you basically remake your model, but with way less density. So it could be rigged and animated.
Interesting.
So, but before you do that, well, before I do that, I bring it into Blender and then I do the UVs, which mean is basically unwrapping the 3D model into 2D space so that when you texture it, it just makes it way cleaner and easier. So um I don't know how to explain this, but like back in like elementary school, there's like when they show you that cube and they unwrap it
Mm-hmm.
and there's like six faces, that's basically what we're doing, but like with characters, with like clothing, with all this stuff. So it's pretty complicated. But so rigging is just like adding bones to the model, like how humans have skeletons. It's like the same thing.
Okay.
So you just add bones and then you have to weight paint the model to the bones, which mean like you control how much this bone influences this part of the model and you paint the density to where it like matches. So um there's also tools that automatically rig for you. Usually if I'm doing like something super simple, like I just throw it into Mixamo, which is a like a free rigging site,
Okay.
and it can do like a decent job enough to like help you.
Mm-hmm.
But then after that, you can go and texture the model. So usually right now I'm using Substance Painter the most to texture, and it's basically Photoshop but like in 3D space. Like
Oh,
everything in
okay.
Photoshop is literally like the same thing. So it was pretty easy for me to learn. And once you do that, you could bring it back into like a rendering engine, so something like Blender or Marmoset, and then you can add your lights, you can set up your scene, and then you can just render it out. And then rendering is just doing all the math and computing the lights and everything, and then getting your final result. So
Gotcha.